Yo, what's going on, guys? Poppy with Poppy's Profits here. So today, GameStop was just announced to be moving over to the Russell 1000 from the Russell 2000, where AMC is remaining. Um, yeah, really, this is just more of a psychological type of thing. We have this guy down here talking about. It's not going to matter at all in the Russell 1000. It's one of the smallest stocks in there, and the index is extremely top heavy. Of course, that index being dominated by large companies like Apple, Microsoft, Facebook, Netflix, Google. But, on this channel, we really like to be contrarian and go against the grain here. I really like to just, once again, highlight this statement here. Mr. Mike Dickson. Mr. Mike Dickson is not going to matter at all. I think you're going to eat those words, my dear sir. Yeah, so as you know, that SPX is also very top heavy with those companies. They make up more than a quarter of the entire index. So when we see these companies draw down, coming into a I personally think we're going to transition from a growth environment to a more value or cyclical environment. I'm pretty long on stuff like Coca-Cola, Costco, petroleum, Occidental Petroleum. A lot of these debts these companies have aren't going to be impacted, and they're going to be affected positively by inflation, and their output and their profits will also be positively affected by inflation. So I think we're going to be seeing a lot more money going to where there's actually value and actually products being sold today, now, not in the future. So yeah, as expected, we saw a little, a green day. We're just drifting higher on the SPX, drifting higher slowly but surely on low volume as institutional investors unload on the remnant Robinhood traders who discovered the stock market last year. Um, So yeah, I really think that guy's going to be eating his words regarding GameStop not making an impact in the Russell 1000. I think it's probably going to be the most popular stock moving forward. That will also be transitioning us into that period of appreciation in the value stocks, being that GameStop was always a value play, right? Okay. Just to kind of further that point, Baird suspends GameStop stock coverage because of lack of company plan and Reddit influence. They're basically saying they can't. It's hard to give a reasonable recommendation on the stock, right? It's not. It's unreasonable, right? That's the narrative they're trying to paint with GameStop, casting it in with AMC. AMC truly actually being way overvalued. Trey from Trey's Trades came out on CNBC saying he thinks that the fair value is actually half of what the price is now, so putting it at about $25 from its price of around $50, $60 today. So, he's pretty open with thinking that it's overvalued for him. That really is the narrative and the thesis behind that trade. I would not be in AMC right now. If you are, I would get on out of it because GameStop, they're trying to cast them together, but it's really not the case. GameStop is a beast of its own. If you recall, Michael Burry held a position with his hedge fund, which I think he may still hold a private position, and just the hedge fund may have disclosed that they sold, which they could have easily bought again as well, right? Not one, bought in at any given time. So yeah, I think this is just a signal that the suits are scared because there is genuine naked short selling taking place with GameStop. We all know it. They admitted it on CNBC. Michelle Yan got in trouble, and it is what it is. So ride the wave or be a slave. It's up to you. Just kidding. But I also wanted to touch back here. Well, let's just close up here real quick. I toss around a lot. Gamestop, performed marginally okay today. Pumped a little bit on that news and just kind of settled down and consolidated towards the end of the day there. This is really the range that we like to be in here on these swing trades if we're expecting a bullish move up, right? You want to be, this day range is whatever, but I really like to see, green, green, and then just, right over here, right in the middle here. We want to be right up there. This isn't a momentum trade, so you want to be looking here. As you may notice on this index here, probably not where you want to be. The very end of this range, just a little tippy tip, just trying to get that little last ring out. Not smart, not smart. You want to get that middle section. You don't want to call the top, you don't want to call the bottom, and that's not what we do here on Poppy's Profits either. For those who may have gotten faked out by yesterday's title, no, we did not skyrocket the next day. That's not how this works, guys. No, that's not what happened. Yeah, we will be skyrocketing though. Don't worry about that. As we transition into gold here, before I start adjusting this chart too much, wanted to mention, look at the similarities here. Look at the similarities here. This is Bitcoin, right, on the weekly. This is gold on the daily, okay? Of course, we have some different price action leading up to this, right? Gold was higher, came down. Bitcoin was lower, came up. However, assuming that Bitcoin, really is meant to, enrich those early adopters, and that's really the use case of it. It's kind of strange that they would both be making similar shapes, kind of this head and shoulders kind of thing. Kind of head and shoulders kind of thing. I wouldn't be surprised to see gold come down in here as we see Bitcoin pumping right at first to just kind of provide that kind of fake out narrative. Also, just providing more, kind of an excuse for people to say that Bitcoin is winning this battle as a store of value or an inflation hedge. But yeah, I really don't see that lasting long. I see that you easily just come up from here, but I wouldn't be surprised to see us touch down here again. But with this Bitcoin, I think Bitcoin is probably going to just pump. We've been seeing a lot of news with Binance having legal actions brought against them from various Western countries. And then also just been seeing that Tether printer start up again. So that's been good to see. Probably just see the pump right away on this gold. We're basically dealing with this Basel 3 thing, which should put an end to any sort of manipulation going on in the market. We'll touch back on that Basel 3 definition here for you guys in a second. But yeah, overall, long-term bullish on gold, short-term Bitcoin with a very bearish long-term view coming down like in this range probably. Right, in this range. Then just staying there. But would be happy to see it just continue rising up. Of course, that would be conducive under the current paradigm for the crypto markets. So yeah, we'll see SHIB looking great as we had expected. This is nice to see, just really just staying on the higher end of that range. Of course, once again, this is a good long-term swing so long as we are confident in our analysis of the asset itself. But yeah, this is really where we want to be entering in here. We do not really like to be seeing any activity over here in the 52-week range. Probably not an ideal time to be buying. So SHIB is looking great. Speaking of which, Coinbase was pumping today, probably because of SHIB, right? Okay, this is probably just people are going to be buying into that SHIB news when they announced the SHIB listing, and they just had to put that price up. I'm not very bullish on this stock long term, at least for right now. Maybe new information comes out, I might change that, but I'm not really particularly bullish on Coinbase. Save massive regulation. If a lot of regulation comes out for cryptos, I think Coinbase could do really well going into 2022-23. So you might look for a better buying opportunity later after it's kind of had its initial sell-off and everyone's been fleeced from the market, buying it up at that high price that it was IPO'd at. So yeah, I'd be looking for an entry later on, and Coinbase could be very good. But right now, I think this is going to be, they're going to be selling into the strength. It's touching the very little resistance and support that's developed since its listing. It's just now touching up against it, forming kind of a double bottom here. I wouldn't be surprised to see us consolidate a little bit, maybe move a little higher, but ultimately probably moving back down that Coinbase stock. But of course, that's the purpose of the SHEEB listing, right? Is they wanted to pump the stock. That's my point of view, at least. So we're going over GME chart, sheet chart. Great. So we'll go to the Basel 3 definition here. I briefly touched on it yesterday, and I just want to be clear here. In yesterday's video, I mentioned short selling. Anytime I mentioned short selling regarding to the gold markets, I meant to say naked short selling. That's really the problem. The problem isn't that people are shorting; it's the fact that the banks are basically creating artificial supply of gold and silver to keep the price down, right? And that's kind of what Basel 3 is for. It comes into with the liquidity crisis in 2008, basically requiring banks to maintain proper leverage ratios and keep certain levels of reserve capital on hand, right? So they're going to be required to actually have, I think it was 85% of the collateral versus what they're saying is on paper. You'll probably want to look into that yourself. I'm not really, it's pretty intricate, all of the details there, but yeah, that's effectively it. So basically, they actually have to hold the physical gold on hand in order to trade in the derivatives markets. And so what people are thinking is going to happen here is it's basically going to reduce bank activities in the papers and metals markets. It's making it more difficult, making the barrier of entry more difficult for banks to basically trade paper, gold, and silver. So there was a few points that they were making that this is going to undermine clearing and settlement. Basically, the required stable funding for short-term assets would significantly increase costs for LP MCL clearing banks to the point that some would be forced to exit the clearing and settlement system, which may even be at risk of collapsing completely. So, of course, that'd be great to see banks exiting the papers and metals market, reducing liquidity, increasing financing costs, which all of these things seem bearish, right? Just seeing all these, it makes the derivatives market very unattractive. Which so long, right at the very end, it says gold bugs know better than to count on regulators doing the right thing, but fingers are crossed, right? Yeah, I think I tend to think we're in kind of a new paradigm here where gold and silver is actually going to fulfill its traditional role as as a currency and not just a commodity, a volatile commodity to a new sensitive commodity to trade. So I think it's good news actually to see that it's no longer being traded. All of that trading really just inflated the supply and reduced the scarcity. And most people, if you talk to them who were had exposure to gold and silver, most of it was just on paper. So it'll be good to see. I'm not sure how much it will affect retail. If it's going to make it more, if that'll trickle down to retail and it'll get more difficult for them. But I welcome. I don't really like paper trading. I don't really like derivatives. I understand their use, but not a big fan. Maybe I'm just too monkey brain, reptile brain, whatever. But yeah, that's about it, guys. Just wanted to cover that. Wanted to touch on that GameStop listing. Super bullish on GameStop going into the week and months ahead. Very bearish on S&P. Looking for this to once again do kind of a breakout and then fake out to the downside. Like here, right? I wouldn't be surprised to see just a little wick poke its little head up right here, right? With just a massive up day, followed by that down day. And that would be that blow off top that everyone's been looking for as a top signal. Yeah, I think we'll probably get it here moving into the, probably within 2 weeks, I would say we'll see the top here. But yeah, just a reminder, guys, anytime you see, gold skyrocketing, it's not happening tomorrow. It's not happening. The second you read the title, it's not going to skyrocket the next second you read the title, right? So it's really, these are long-term swing trades. GameStop is a long-term swing trade. Looking at, even as far as into 2022, I wouldn't be opposed to holding it for that period of time if I were in the trade. Um, just due to the environment we're in. I could touch on more of my in-depth analysis and why I really do feel like memes are the safe haven um, in a later video. But yeah, as well as sheep. Sheep you could easily be holding for 2 months or more, 3 months, even into the next year, depending on how the price action performs. And it really does depend on the price action and other things coming along. There's, of course, other cryptocurrencies that we're interested in over here at Poppy's Profits, but the main focus as of right now is sheep, GameStop. Acquiring physical precious metals is a good thing, particularly silver. And yeah, really just sitting back, relaxing, enjoying summer, uh, and letting the markets do all the work for us over here at Poppy's Profits. Um, Another note I wanted to add here is you see AMC. I had already kind of touched on this, but AMC is getting integrated in. AMC is making kind of, I'm looking here on my phone to look at the chart. AMC is kind of making like a topping pattern. It's just been slowly consolidating at this top. Uh, yeah, not looking good. We might see some correlation between AMC and GameStop. We might see some further downside on GameStop. That wouldn't really surprise me if there was a very volatile move to the downside of AMC, meaning large loss, double-digit losses. Um, but yeah, that pump today on GameStop looked really solid. So we'll see. We'll see how it finishes out with this cup and handle, and hopefully we could just get the show on the road. I'd love to see it, just some price action going on here, get some excitement back. Um, Other than that, I think that about covers it, guys. Uh, we'll see what gold does in the weeks ahead. Expecting some bullish movement. Today, not dumping was actually very bullish, right? Like if it had dumped today, that would have been an ultimate slap in the face of the gold bugs. That would have showed that the market manipulators may still be in control, but that it didn't just move to the downside and just eggplant slap everyone right across the face. That might be very bullish, guys. So let's hope for that. Let's hope for that volatility to begin. Everything's just been drifting. Everything's just been drifting up, drifting higher on low volume, drifting lower on low volume. Let's get it going, right? Let's get it going, guys. I mean, we're chilling on summer, but we're expecting some big moves going ahead. So expect the big moves. Don't be surprised when the big moves come. We are expecting them. But until then, we're patiently relaxing and waiting. And that's it here today with Poppy's Profits. You guys take that east.